It is the nature of evil to turn you against yourself. Starke, flavor text of Wall of Souls. Not all who lived on the Plane of Wrath owed allegiance to Phyrexia. The plane was teeming with tribes, all ripped from their native planes, all of whom had no love for the stronghold, nor its master, the Evankar. One such tribe, the Vek, was made up of nomadic humans who spread out in townships. Like the Kor and the Dal tribes, the Vek were split into two groups, the En-Vek, which defied the Evankar, and the Il-Vek, who submitted to the Evankar's rule. The En-Vek battled the Stronghold's forces whenever possible, attacking soldiers or sabotaging plans, and among them, one of the most skilled was a man named Starke. Much of Starke's background is a bit of a mystery. Like many in his tribe, he surely battled against the Evankar's forces. Yet, over the course of his life, Starke became a bit of a Weasley character, even ending up working for the Phyrexian agents. Some time ago, Starke was selected by Phyrexia to perform a task on the plane of Dominaria. His mission was simple: to infiltrate the tribe of Sidar Kondo and cause as much disruption as he could. Starke did exactly that, secretly poisoning Sidar Kondo's son, the youth Vuel, and then convincing him to wage war on his own people. In doing so, Starke laid the foundation for Vuel to eventually become the new Evankar of Wrath, Volrath. Regardless of these actions, and despite aiding in Volrath's ascension, Starke was ultimately loyal only to himself. Yet in spite of this fact, Starke actually wound up marrying, in secret, to an Endal woman, the product of this marriage being the only other person he would ever truly care for, his daughter, Takara Endal. This same beloved daughter proved to be a liability, however, one that Volrath happily exploited. The Evankar took Takara captive, using her as leverage to force Starke to do his bidding. Reluctantly, Starke obeyed Volrath's commands, helping him not only further secure his position on Wrath, but also assisting in abducting a woman from another plane, the captain of the Weatherlight, Sise. For his actions, for colluding with Volrath, for aiding the Evankar of the Stronghold, Starke was cast out of the Vek tribe, branded forevermore as Starke Il-Vek. For his part, however, Starke only cared about rescuing Takara, and would do whatever it took to save her. In kidnapping Captain Sise, Starke saw an opportunity unlike any other. Others would come to rescue this legendary captain, others who might provide the opportunity he needed to free Takara. Knowing what he now needed to do, Starke Il-Vek made his way to Dominaria. Starke's trip to Dominaria was not an easy one, and it came at a serious cost. Volrath was now aware of his betrayal. The Keldan warlord, Meraxis, who had come into Volrath's service recently, easily captured Starke. Yet, while he was as helpless as a rat in a cage, the Il-Vek still had his silver tongue, perhaps his most dangerous weapon. Starke convinced Meraxis that not only was he truly on Volrath's side, but that he could even help Meraxes capture Volrath's real target, Gerard Capuchin. This duplicity worked, and when the time came for Meraxes and Gerard to face one another, Starke had front row seats to the action, the perfect vantage point to stab Meraxes in the back. The dirty deed done, Starke approached Gerard and offered up his services, most importantly his use as a guide on Wrath. Bruised, but thankful for the help, Gerard accepted Starke's pledge of loyalty and welcomed him onto the crew. On Wrath, Starke's use as a guide was invaluable, even if his skills in combat were less than impressive. He directed the crew, after some troubles, through the furnaces of the stronghold, allowing them to break into Volrath's great fortress. And while the crew was concerned with rescuing Sise, as well as their members that had been taken prisoner in the first battle on Wrath, Starke occupied himself with finally, at long last, rescuing his daughter. To his dismay, however, Takara attacked him almost as soon as she was freed, having been brainwashed to serve Volrath. Before she could be restrained and brought back to her senses, Takara had blinded Starke, slicing at his eyes with a blade. Despite his injury, Starke, alongside Takara, made for the Weatherlight, and fled from the Plane of Wrath alongside the rest of the crew, winding up on the world of Mercadia. It was here, however, that one final tragedy befell Starke. The Takara whom was rescued eventually turned out to be Volrath himself in disguise, who took the opportunity to at last murder Starke for his previous betrayal. Starke Ilveg had lived his life as a consummate liar and professional traitor, switching allegiances whenever it suited him. Even when he was helping the Weatherlight crew, his loyalties were always to himself. Despite this, he did try to do the right thing in saving his daughter, a daughter he barely even knew. In the end, his life caught up with him, and Starke died, never knowing what became of Takara. Starke of Wrath is represented all the way back in the Tempest set. Costing 1 generic mana and 2 red mana, this 2/2 human rogue had an exceptionally flavorful ability, one that fully displayed Starke's duplicitous nature. By tapping Starke, you could destroy any one artifact or creature, then pass control of Starke over to the player whose permanent you destroyed. This leaping of loyalties is a fantastic way of displaying Starke's particular brand of allegiance, and it's rare that legendary creatures have effects that so perfectly capture their lore. Starke is ultimately a bit player in the Weatherlight saga, and died some time ago. Outside of a supplemental product, I very much doubt he'll receive a new card anytime soon. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like or sharing this video with your friends. If you're a fan of the Weatherlight, its crew, or the Weatherlight saga as a whole, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the notification bell. I'll be releasing more videos on this topic. Finally, this video is brought to you by my patrons. If you enjoy my work and would like to support me, head on over to my Patreon. A link to it will be in the description below. Thanks again, and have a great day.